It always comes to this. More nice shit. Hello there guys, here to do another tattoo progress update today. Where I last left off, I showed off my back blackout, and I talked all about the session and the healing and all that. It's still not fully healed. This has taken quite a while to heal. I'm usually like completely healed within a week, usually mostly healed within 3 to 4 days. It has been incredibly itchy. I don't usually get itchy at all. I get so many people who are like, it must suck for you being itchy all the time, your whole life, being tattooed so often. And the reality is, I don't really get itchy. I might be lucky in that. I also don't, a lot of people ask me if I shave all the time, because whenever you see me in videos or pictures, I never have a lot of hair. And fortunately for me, or unfortunately in some cases, I don't grow much body hair. It's been great for tattoos because I don't have to shave much. Although that being said, Rick will shave me no matter what, whether I have hair or not. There are times when it's like, you know, there hasn't been hair on that part of my body once in my life, and Rick's shaving anyway. He's very thorough. Actually, little side note here, the worst part of getting tattooed by Rick might be the shave by Rick. Rick is an absolute brute with the razor, and whenever he comes near me with one, I get flashbacks. There was one time that he was tattooing me, and he went to shave me prior and nicked my nipple. I swear he just about took that fucker off. It cut me pretty good. I was bleeding from that spot for most of the session. And there's a video where you can see visible redness after the session in an area that wasn't even tattooed, my nipple, where it had been bleeding and hardened blood by the end of it. So I'll put that in here and show it off. But yeah, he's an absolute savage with a razor. I've described his tattoo style as like, you'll have artists that are heavy or light-handed. Rick is not a heavy-handed artist, but his mannerisms around tattooing are heavy. So for example, when he's actually tattooing you moment to moment, you don't feel a ton of pain. But everything around the tattoo feels quite rough. It's a very, it's a hard thing to describe to people because he actually doesn't hurt that much, but it feels like he's more painful than he needs to be because the dry wipe, he wipes quite hard, he wipes often. And again, like I said, with the shave, he goes pretty hard. He also does a really good stretch. He's told me a million times the stretch is the most important part of the tattoo. If you don't have a good stretch, you may as well not do the tattoo. You know, it's just one of those things. So there was one time he was tattooing my neck. The last time he tattooed my neck, he stretched my head from my shoulder so far, I swear to God, I had a pain in my neck for weeks. It was actually the most painful part of the tattoo. Was not the skin or the tissue underneath. It was my fucking neck, and my shoulder got so wrenched on that I had a pain in my neck for weeks. He got a good stretch though, so, and I get it. You got to do what you got to do to get the job done, right? But yeah, it's also that thing that sometimes the way you're sitting for a tattoo is more painful than the actual tattoo. Rick is of the mindset, and I think he's right to have this mindset, that it doesn't matter if the customer is uncomfortable or not. He has to do his job. And I think a lot of times when you listen to the customer too much, you have a compromised product. For example, if you stop tattooing the way you need to tattoo because someone's giving you whimpering noises or crying or whining a bit about what it feels like, if you let that get in your head, you're probably not going to tattoo the way you need to. I think this is why a lot of artists take to putting on their headphones, etc. because they're paid to do the job. This is a pain that you've paid for and you've asked for. No one is doing this to you necessarily, although in the moment someone is. You asked for this, you signed up for this. It doesn't mean you don't have a right to complain about it or something like that. That's not really what I'm saying. It's just that you're complaining if it affects the process, if it affects the way that the tattoo is being done, then you're getting a worse product for it. And so for this reason, I've always taken to not making a peep during the session. If it isn't just light conversation or like, you know, we're talking and laughing, I don't find that it's constructive to complain about something that I've asked you to do to me. This isn't me being a tough guy, by the way, because I certainly do feel the pain. It's just that it's not like you're being beaten up or you didn't ask for this and it's happening to you against your will. This is chosen discomfort. So I always put a heavy caveat with tattoos where it's like, it's pain, but it's not real pain, because I feel like real pain, you can't ask it to stop. You can't tap out on, you can't just be done for the day. Like, real pain affects you always, indifferent to your feelings. With that said, that's my rant for the day. I had a session with Rick and we got quite a bit done. As you can see here, we did all different shades of purple and blue, lots of darker tones and light blue. There's some pink in there as well. It's kind of hard to show it all off in a way that, you know, paints it correctly here. So there will obviously be pictures and video here, but I really like this color combo. And having had 3 weeks off to think about this, both Rick and I had some new fresh ideas for this. And that can be the benefit of working on a project at length like this, is as you see things settle and heal and see how they work more long-term, you'll have better ideas about what to do going forward. So for example, all of the darker blues and purples, we wouldn't have started off that way, because Rick and I had thought at one point that the lighter colors were the only thing that would really work very well. I started getting the idea of darker colors and requesting Rick to try some darker colors when I seen the red velvet covers fairly consistently. It does a good job of sitting in and on the black, whereas some of the lighter reds, even though they are brighter, if you get close up on them, and not anymore because this has been passed a few times, but originally, like the reds, the lighter reds weren't as solid as the darker red. So while it does brighten up the black, I feel like when you're brightening the black and coloring the black, you're asking the color to do a couple of different things. Whereas when you're using these darker tones, like what we've done with the dark red from the red velvet, you're just changing the black's tone. You're creating a more of like a red black. It's not like the expectation is necessarily to lift it to a super bright color. It's just to tone it almost like if you were dyeing leather or something. You know, it's not, the expectation is never to have that color be super bright. It's more like to get a different version of black. Like obviously there are different gradients of every color, and your expectation is not to get it to be, say, as bright as that blue or as bright as this red. It's just to have a different black than you had. So from the hop, you have a different expectation going in. You're asking for something else, you know? Whereas when you do something like white on black, you're really just saying, I want this area of skin to be lighter than that area of skin. So it's a bit of a different operation. And I feel like when you do bright colors, you're kind of asking for that and the other. So you have two different objectives with that. It sounds complicated. It's complicated to explain even what I'm trying to say. But that's been the territory that I've been in with this the whole time. And so I can completely understand why, if people weren't following along with me step by step, that this gets pretty confusing. But that's why I make these vlogs, so that if anyone does want to know, they're there. There's an image, or there's a data bank for this now. Maybe it's a rambling collection of musings and anecdotes and notes along the way that a crazed savage has written and filmed, but it's better than nothing, and that's what I've had to work with. There's been nothing. So making it up as you go. And when you're doing that, you know, there isn't a lot of help along the way, so you have to try a little bit of everything. That's why we tried all these darker colors this time, to see how they worked. And I really like this color combination, and I think we're gonna build more of that in. I do think that the darker tones are working a bit better overall. Like if I had to say what I prefer for coverage over black between light colors and darker colors, it's definitely the darker colors. But when you use them in tandem, you see the difference here. It's pretty hard to believe that all of that was done over a blackout. We got that much different saturation over blackout. Like it's just, even on my chest, you see here all these different, like all of this was derived from a black canvas. And so when I can see this and how it's living and breathing and not really changing a whole lot since I finished it, whatever that means for me, it doesn't say to me that you can do this chest piece over black. It says to me that you can do pretty much anything over black, and there's some combination of colors to be used that you can get any result you want, but it's going to take you a minute. With that, this was the 21st session we've had on this sleeve, believe it or not. 21 sessions already. I think we're probably about a third of the way there, realistically. And I'm actually pretty optimistic about how far along we are. Believe it or not, that may sound insane to some people, but for me, it's like, I feel like the first 20 sessions just got us started. I feel like having that 3-week break in between, it really did feel like the end of the first phase of this sleeve. So all of what we did here was just kind of building it, like starting it up, some fucking around, some figuring things out. And all of what we're going to be doing now is going to be filling it in and getting chunks of color like this. And I feel like the third phase, if there's to be 3 phases of this in some way of speaking, will be all of the refinements and similar to what we did with the chest, where we probably will color every part of it a little bit different and then be figuring out which colors work the best the whole way there. And then once that's done and the sleeve is mostly filled in, then you go back in for the second and third passes of different colors, and you get to reshape the whole thing and highlight it and figure out the overall look. As you can see, the top here is quite a bit different tonally than this. Now, obviously this is fresh and it's not going to stay that dark and it's not going to stay that bright at the same time. Everything's going to come down a hair or a couple hairs, whatever. But it will be tonally different than the top. And that's not really unintentional either, because again, every part of this sleeve is still being done in an experimental way. And it won't be till the very last 10, 15 sessions that we really hammer out what this thing is going to look like. You can go back and watch the vlogs for when I was having this chest piece built, and this thing looks different, like coloration wise, than it did during. And that's because once we figured out the tones that worked for it and the colors that interacted great together, there were some passes where Rick went through and made it all look one piece and connected. And that's the thing, right? Once you figure out you can cover black with color, you figure out that you can also cover other color with different colors, which is going to bring me nicely into my next point. The eye on my torso, I plan on doing a brand new face too. I've been talking about that a little bit. Right now it's, I'll just show it off. Right now it's kind of orange, yellow, and red in some way. I don't think that that's going to be the case for much longer, however, as the new facelift for the eye is going to be primarily purple, blue, and green. Maybe some red, I haven't decided yet. And I don't think that the color that's there now, even though it's been done many times and already had 6 or 7 different looks, I don't think that any of that color matters. I don't think that the color that we have our tattoos now is ever final. And I think that you can take purple and you can cover yellow. And I think that you can take blue and you can cover red. And I think you can cover orange with green. And I think all of these things are possible. And I won't be surprised when I'm correct in saying so either. Now, I think that when you do that, you're going to have a slightly muddier version of those colors. But I have every reason to believe, based on what I've already done, that those colors are going to go in and they're going to mix and they're going to come out predominantly more the color that we're putting in over the old color. I'm not exactly sure when that's happening, but it's going to be happening soon. And I think that it will make the eye stand apart even more. There will be people who hate that. There'll be people who like it, and everything in between. And that's always the case whenever I change anything. And that was certainly the case at the back Blackout. And just know that not to get attached to any one part of my work, because it's probably going to end up changing at some point. I like innovating things. When I play video games and there's customize a character part of the game where you create your character, I spend a lot of time customizing characters. It's probably my favorite part. I really like that. I've always been my own customizable character to some degree. And I probably always will be. So, yeah, I'm not sure when that eye redesign is coming, but it will be over the next few months for sure. And I may take a break from my sleeve to work on that with Rick, or I might let Terry do it. I'm not exactly sure yet. I keep thinking it's going to be Terry, just because I really do want to focus on this sleeve, and that I think I'm only about a third of the way through. I'd like to get some more done on it, but I still haven't decided which one of them I want to do it. They both have different styles, so I think either one of them can do it. I just haven't decided yet. Anyway, lots to think about, and hopefully I'll be showing off another session this week, but as I might have mentioned in an earlier video, I'm not sure. I'd like to be getting to more of the red in the chest here and on my sides, because all of this stuff is going to be red and white instead of black and white soon. And it should make my whole torso a lot more connected and cohesive. All right, I'll talk to you guys again soon. Have a great day.